First Alert Weather Show is brought to you by Bresky Siding.
And a good Thursday evening, Mid-Michigan Chief Meteorologist Chris Eastlick with your Thursday forecast update. And tonight, not talking about any winter weather, but we're still talking about the possibility of some wet weather. That wet weather coming through tonight in the form of just rainfall, which is enough to make things sloppy, but at least we're not talking about freezing rain, so we'll never have a complaint about that. Certainly seems like as we go toward the weekend, things will be trending cooler and we'll have a chance for some winter precipitation to come back, but we're talking about the potential for snow and not necessarily any icing, which is always good as well. So good to see some of our usuals on tonight. Already seeing Wendy, already seeing Sherry. Looks like we've got about 23 people on, so we'll get you prepared for the end of the week and also into the weekend. As of right now, the radar shows what appears to be pretty quiet conditions around the area tonight, but we do have some more showers and even a few thunderstorms off to our south and west, and a lot of this is what's moving in our direction a little bit later on tonight. One thing that I do want to highlight a little bit earlier in the stream for tonight is the fact that we do have a wind advisory that is in place for Shiawassee, Genesee, and Lapeer County. That goes until 9 o'clock on Friday, goes into effect about 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and lasts until 9 p.m. So when is the worst of the wind for those areas? Probably, I would say, during that time. I also think it's a little bit more likely around I-69 and southward. I do think it will still be breezy on the north side of those counties, but the wind advisory is for gusts of around 45, and it seems like some of the better chances for 45-mile-per-hour gusts are a little bit further to the south. So that's what we'll be watching for as we go through tomorrow, in addition to some of the rain and also in addition to some of the snowflakes that will be returning to the forecast tomorrow, and also potentially a chance for some snowflakes going into the weekend. As for our fog situation tonight, not quite as bad as it was last night, thankfully so. Did have some school delays, and it looked like even a few closings early this morning. From what I understand, a couple of those started as delays and then eventually turned into closings just because of how persistent that fog was. So we've had a winter that has really given the students plenty of days off. It seems like it's been pretty active this year compared to a lot of years that we've had recently. I know we go through this every single year, but it seems like there are some districts that are really burning through the days so far this year, and you know, that's a lot of the time really not been any of their fault, and not that it ever is, but sometimes you know, decisions get made and then forecast-wise things don't pan out. It seemed that way maybe Wednesday. The freezing rain didn't really you know, affect a wide area, and it certainly didn't affect areas as badly as it could have on Wednesday. So potentially maybe decisions like that where we closed and maybe we could have gotten away with it. But I always feel like the school districts have the best interest in mind. So that's kind of what I was going for there. There's really hasn't been a lot of rest for some of the local superintendents around our area. So here's a look at kind of where we're going later on tonight. We've got dry conditions now. We do expect eventually rain will try to move back in a little bit later on tonight. That rain does become a little bit more widespread overnight and into the morning commute tomorrow. It does seem like it's going to have a tougher time moving back into the thumb on this particular model. I do think we may see a little bit more coverage in the rain than what is showing here. This is pretty broken. Not saying it's going to be as widespread as, say, some of the rain was on Wednesday morning, but I also think we might be able to do a little bit better than this. But what is going to happen after it moves through late tonight, and it does try to start to fill in here over in the thumb a little bit later in the morning, but what happens after that is it starts to lift to the north and we enter what is called the dry slot of that storm system. And what the dry slot is it shows us a lot of the precipitation actually starts slowing down, so a lot of the rain starts slowing down. If there were any snow showers early tomorrow morning, those are going to start to slow down for a time. And what it does is take a look at the wind direction. You've got southeasterly winds here, you've got southwesterly winds here, and so what you're seeing is the warm front lifting through. Behind the warm front, you get this brief area of southwesterly winds that kind of shuts things down. But then you'll notice as we start to get that precipitation moving back in, we go from southwesterly winds back to westerly. And that's when you start getting some of that moisture coming back. It sort of wraps around the area of low pressure itself. And what that does is it leads to more scattered development during the afternoon and during the evening. And so tomorrow afternoon, we're going to cool off, but it may not happen quickly enough to where it's just outright snow. I do think we'll see some snow showers. You can clearly see that here. But I also wouldn't be surprised if some of that snow is still coming with a little bit of mix in it, especially on the front end. I think as we cool down Friday night, you'll start to see the rain go away as temperatures drop off a little bit more. And then once we get into late Friday night and early Saturday morning, that's when we really start to see the cold air settle in, and we're back to just pretty much snow showers going into Saturday. So rainfall amounts, I haven't really seen a good model tonight to show you them realistically without just giving you kind of a, I would say, false model solution. Sometimes they don't cooperate as well as we want, and usually I try not to show them when they're in that situation, to try not to show mixed messages. But what I can do is I do agree with this. This is a precipitation outlook from the Weather Prediction Center. They're in Washington, D.C., but it's a branch of NOAA. And I think this does a reasonable job. It shows we've got some heavier rainfall totals in the northeast, which could be between a half inch to an inch. But outside of this blue shaded area, which is Aranac County, Gladwin, and Clare right here, Aranac, Gladwin, Clare, and then you've got Ogemaw, Roscommon, and Iosco all up in here. But I think it shows that most of the area is going to pick up around a half inch or less of rain. It's just that northeast quadrant that I think has the chance for a little bit more. And so it's this area right here. I know it's showing snow, but I think liquid precipitation, it's these counties right here that I could see picking up over a half inch later on tonight. So I'll just check in with the chat here before we move into talk about snow for the weekend and kind of something we're watching for Saturday that's shown itself today. Good evening, Wendy from Midland. Feels like we've gotten a lot of the seasons in a short period of time. Certainly has. Foggy all day east of West Branch. I can believe it, Stacy. It has been foggy the closer you get to Lake Huron today, that's for sure. Some areas got into the sun, other areas not so much. Those easterly areas near the lake have certainly been stuck under the fog a lot of days recently. Good to see you, Denise. Good evening, Linda. Good evening, Mary Kay. Christy from Gladwin County. Very foggy and 31. Sunny this afternoon. How much rain will we get? I think Gladwin could pick up about 1/4 to 3/4, depending on what part of Gladwin County you're in. If you're in the north, I think you have a chance for a little bit more. Sherry asks, are we going to get a dusting of snow or just a few flurries? That's what we're going to talk about. So I zoomed out on the state map here so you can actually see. So let's back this up just a few frames so you can see that dry slot that I was talking about. This is just a statewide view, but the dry slot's right there. And so this is what we expect to happen mid to late morning tomorrow, where it's almost like the precipitation is just circling the TV5 viewing area. We're just caught in the donut hole. Appreciate you, John. We like having these chats too. But what we do is we get stuck in the dry part of the system, which is, again, I like to call it a donut hole right here. But what it does is it just circles back around, and so there's that westerly wind that brings it all back. And that's typically sometimes in this time of year when we start to see the lake effect. We get those widespread precipitation systems, a widespread round of rain, and then you get the lake effect snow on the backside. That's what's happening, is you get the wind direction changing back to more of a northwesterly direction, and that's what's happening here. But what I think is interesting and what has shown itself in our models today is we get some of that snow that lingers into early Saturday, but then notice what is happening here if you can see it. It is a little tough to see because the arrows blend in with the cloud cover, but you've got a northeasterly wind here, and you've got a northwesterly wind here. And so what's happening in this region where they're colliding is we have what is called a convergence zone. And when that air comes together in those boundaries like that, it collides, and what it does is it forces the air upward. and that collision forces the air to rise. And so what we could see is that convergence zone where the winds converge is where we could see a band of snow set up this weekend. Now, the question is, and why we're not talking about snowfall totals specifically just yet, is we'll have the chance for that band to set up in a variety of different areas. It's not really set in stone where that band is going to be. So right on this model right here that I'm showing you is clearly through parts of the TV5 viewing area. It extends from maybe Traverse City through Cadillac and then down to areas like Saginaw Bay City and even over into the Thumb. But I think it's possible as we go through the next couple of days that this will be shifting a little bit, whether it's off to the north or even a little bit further to the south. There's really not a clear signal for that. And some of our models haven't even picked up on this yet. And so there is at least a piece of us who is saying, well, is this even going to happen? Is it just this model trying to pick up on that? Or is there maybe a middle ground solution? Maybe there is expected to be snow. Will it be quite as robust as what this is showing? We'll see. I think it's going to be interesting to see if some of our other, we call them high resolution models, catch up on this a little bit later tonight if they start seeing the same thing. Those higher resolution models, what they do is they only go out a couple of days. So like our long-term models that we use for the 7-day, those go out 10 days, 12 days. The higher resolution ones give us a sharper image, like what you see here, a little bit more detail, and they pick up on the finer details in the atmosphere, but they just don't go as far out. Now, technology is allowing us to take these resolution models a little bit further out in time, but it's still not 7 days. It's still not 10 days. So we'll get there eventually, but right now we're not. But I think what's going to be key for this weekend is where that sets up and how long it sets up. And then I think we also have a chance, if this goes far out into Sunday, I think we have a chance for some scattered snow into Sunday as well. So the one thing that I will say is if we look at the 7-day here, we've kind of introduced the chance for some snow showers on Saturday. And, you know, if this becomes consistent enough, it'll start going up a little bit. But notice we're above freezing on Saturday. And so that doesn't mean we can't accumulate. But I think with the warm past couple of days, we might be a little bit slower to on the front end. Even if we were below freezing, we haven't warmed up ground temperatures significantly. They're still cold. It's not like we're coming into the first snow of the season and ground temps are still in the 50s. That's not where we're at. But we've been warmer the last couple of days. That surface that is now just dead grass and we've got water all over it, that surface is warmer than what it otherwise would be. And then also, so you've got one hurdle, if you will, but then you add another hurdle on top of that with temperatures that are above freezing most of Saturday. Now we can accumulate above freezing, but it takes a really good snowfall rate for that to happen. Are we going to have that? I think I'll have more on that tomorrow. I think we'll have a clearer picture as to whether we can accumulate efficiently enough tomorrow. If we did, Terry, you definitely got some mist, that's for sure. If we did accumulate, I don't think it's much more than a couple of inches. I just don't, it's not an organized system to begin with. Occasionally we can get some good rates out of these convergent bands that develop, but it's not like it's a major storm system with major moisture ties to the Gulf or anything. Usually when we get a really heavy snow, we're either getting moisture from Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, or Lake Superior to the north, or we're getting a bigger storm system that is kind of diving to the southern United States. It's picking up moisture from the Gulf and it's bringing it northward almost like a bucket. It goes from the Pacific Northwest, goes down, scoops the moisture out of the Gulf, and then comes up to Michigan from the southwest. But that's not the case this time. So I think we're talking, you know, if this band happens, I don't anticipate more than, you know, a couple of inches of snow. And I think we'll have, again, a better outlook on that for tomorrow. So Kristen, how much snow are we getting tomorrow? Not much. I don't see any accumulation happening on Friday, or at least anything more than a dusting. Tuscola County, it's too early to say, Braden, if we're going to talk about the weekend snow. Just really don't have what I would call a credible answer for you. I can show you snowfall models, but I don't think they have a great handle on it just yet. So I would be giving you something that I think it probably isn't worth it yet. And I don't want to do that. So I think a couple of inches of snow is reasonable Saturday if we can get it to snow hard enough to overcome that warm ground. So that's all I've got for you tonight. It's 9:22. We've got our 10 o'clock newscast coming up. We'll probably do a stream that is more focused on snow tomorrow. But if anybody has something quick before I sign off here, again, I appreciate people like John letting me know that you like the stream. I know some of you already do. Some of you have been on the stream darn near every night since we've started. But appreciate anybody new who joins, or anybody who even just pops in occasionally. It means a lot, and we're happy to keep doing it, and hopefully we can just keep making it better and better. All right. Nick, I know you like the streams. You're on here quite a bit. So good to see all of you. Have a great Thursday night. Have a great weekend if you're not on the stream tomorrow. And we will talk to you tomorrow and talk about the latest on any snow for Saturday or Sunday on tomorrow night's stream at 9 o'clock. We will see you then.